You know how if you've ever been in a social situation, whether virtually or in person for any reason, and you have to talk to people that you have no shared interests with, it's like there's this invisible barrier that's just separating you. And almost in most cases, regardless of how confident of a person you are, there's just this invisible barrier, and you just have to try and brute force your way through it. Whereas if there are any shared or common interests you have, maybe some shared passions, or especially if it's some sort of business networking event, you might be in a similar industry or maybe competing industries. It's almost like that barrier just disappears and you suddenly feel like you've known that person months or years just because you have that shared interest. Well, that's exactly what an agreement analogy is. And an agreement analogy is a very powerful way to be able to remove all of the complex sales and marketing, persuasion and negotiation tactics, to be able to cut through all the noise so that you can talk directly to someone's deep down internal belief systems that make them not need to be convinced or persuaded to have to buy something, because they just internally understand and agree why they need whatever you are offering them. And that's exactly what an agreement analogy does. So let's dive into exactly how this works. All right, so let's start with a simple quote. And this came from someone that was selling life insurance in the States. Maybe they still are, I'm not too sure. And ultimately, they weren't where any of the action was happening as far as where life insurance was being sold. In fact, they were kind of almost like a solo person, kind of freelancing it. And they use this analogy to be able to make the most out of anybody in the country, maybe even in the world. And they simply used this agreement analogy. So they said to the person, if you had a money printing machine in your house, would you insure it? And when they said, of course, yeah, absolutely, he replied, well, aren't you technically that money printing machine? And as soon as people realized what he was saying there and understood that comparison, it just felt obvious to, not to need life insurance, basically. And it just felt like a no-brainer. And that's exactly what an agreement analogy can do, is when you get onto someone's same wavelength and you agree with what someone already believes, then it makes it so effortless to sell to them. And it makes them feel like it's a no-brainer to buy whatever you're having to offer. And this is exactly how it works. So the analogy, which in this case is the money printing machine for life insurance, or just like I did at the beginning, I used an analogy which was, if you're at a social gathering and you're not really getting on the same wavelength as someone, if you don't have any shared interests or shared understandings of anything. But as soon as you are talking to someone that you have common interests with or common problems, you're kind of vibing with them. You're on the same wavelength. You have an existing pain or existing belief in this case, and regardless, again, you might be in competing industries if you're at a social gathering, but if you have a common agreed understanding of something, that's where you can use this to be able to get someone to see the comparison you're making and make it feel so obvious that they need whatever you're offering, that let's just feel like a no-brainer to buy from you. And so if you use this in any sales or marketing setting, you can create an analogy which highlights a specific belief system that is almost certain that they already have around something that is a mirror of what you're trying to explain. That will then get them to agree with that comparison because of their own belief system and make it so impossibly obvious that they need this, that they just throw their money at you. And that's exactly what the guy with life insurance did. Because again, he was seeing it as, okay, well, people, to me as a life insurance guy, you are the money printer for yourself and for your family. Of course, you're going to need to do that. But if you take away the me part and you just see it as a money printer, anybody would want to insure a money printer if it was just in their basement making the money for them. But when they see themselves as the money printer, they then see the comparison, and it just seems so obvious. And this is exactly how you can use this to be able to basically sell anything to anyone by just creating an analogy based on an existing belief system. People agree with the comparison based on the analogy because of their own existing belief, and it just makes it so obvious. They just feel like it's stupid to not buy from you. And so that is exactly how you can use this to just effortlessly sell to anybody. You don't need to convince them, persuade them, do any sort of sales or marketing negotiation tactics. Think of whatever belief system they already have that they can compare to whatever you're already talking about. And just using this simple formula, you can make sales and marketing effortless. So I really hope that helps. Alrighty, so I do hope you found this information valuable. If you did, please do leave a like and consider subscribing, as well as checking out my other videos linked below about helping you get more clients, as well as how you can start and scale your own WOP, whether that's creating an additional revenue stream for your business or just scaling your business from the ground up. Thanks very much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.